my story, if that's okay with you.
It's fun.
Is it? Is it okay? So, this is a rather long story spanning several days, and it is basically the tale of how I came to Chicago, the beginning of my odyssey. And it begins on a Saturday morning in late September, if I recall correctly. My mom woke me up because there was work to be done, as there always was around this time of the year. My chore was to board up the windows and secure the lawn chairs, and put in a bag anything that I would need in order to wait out a storm, at the most a week. I threw some clothes in a black garbage bag, some books in my backpack. My mom was complaining the whole day of sharp pains in her chest. Think nothing of it, my dad said. Your word sick is what you are. He had the phone to his ear and was making the necessary reservations at a hotel up north, in Memphis actually, where we would be staying in an Elvis-themed hotel across the street from Graceland, the home of Elvis. My mom liked this idea because she had a certain affinity with Elvis. When she was 8 months pregnant with me, her husband at the time dragged her to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, but he shortly abandoned her there to run off with some hooker. She succumbed to the humidity and fainted. While blacked out, she had a vision of Elvis, descending from the stars, decked out in a golden glitter jumpsuit. He came to her and whispered in her ear, everything will be all right. Of course, when she came to, Elvis was not there, but instead he had been replaced by a large black man giving her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. However, she was still thankful and has remained devoted to the image of Elvis ever since. When all provisions have been acquired and sleeping arrangements have been made, 2 by 2, the dogs, the cats, the kids, and the parents boarded the Silver Egg ship, my mom's minivan, as if it were Noah's Ark. We launched at sunset when the sky was bright orange, northward bound. My parents were optimistic in conversation, but in heart were all fear. On the radio, invisible heads blared, mandatory evacuation, catastrophe likely. Oh God, my chest, my mom would say, with each new foreboding forecast. My dad says, pay no attention. It's just sensationalism. They're full of shit. But no one makes a move to turn off the radio. No one touches the dial. 6 hours later, we arrived at the hotel. We are the first of what will later be called a great American exodus, to match the Trail of Tears or the Dust Bowl migration. As soon as we're in the room, before anything else is done, the television is turned on to the news. More bad news. Can't we watch something else, my mom wants to know? There are 12 channels of Elvis movies, so we stay up all night watching Elvis movies, with occasional dips in a guitar-shaped swimming pool. The next few days are a blur. One morning, the other refugees arrived. Like a herd of locusts, the continental breakfast buffet did not contain enough food to satisfy them, and there were not nearly enough rooms to accommodate, so they were practically sleeping on the pavement in the parking lot. That was also the day the hurricane hit. It gets really blurry at this point, but I remember news reporters blowing away in the wind and rooftops rolling down the street. To take our minds off our situation, my family and I visited Graceland as if we were on vacation. We took the tour and all. We saw Elvis's gun collection and I don't know what else. I can't remember, because in the jumpsuit room, beneath the reflected lights of Elvis's jewel-encrusted eagle capes and rhinestone riding jackets, my mom fell to the floor in cardiac arrest, apparently seized by the dazzling power of Elvis. We rushed her to the hospital. She recovered. That day, I shared a cigarette with my dad for the first time, outside the Memphis hospital, while my mom slept and my little sister looked over her. We took her back to the hotel later on, and while she rested inside, my father and I tried to gather some intelligence on the situation. What we heard from our comrades was something I can never forget. Thousands starving on the interstates, rapes and murders in the Superdome, stories of husbands and wives and children watching their loved ones be washed away in the floodwaters. Though I was miles away, I felt as if I too had been swept away in a storm, like I were in a fantastic dream. And I still am dreaming. That was Hurricane Katrina. When my mom felt well enough, we returned to Graceland, and we finished that fucking tour. And then, knowing we had nothing to return to in New Orleans, we turned our tails on the south and flew north, to Chicago, where I continue to live today. My mom and dad, being of Southern breed, returned to rebuild as soon as they were allowed to, and I, also of that particular Southern blood, know that the day will come when I will return to live in New Orleans and eventually die there. Yeah.